The 19th Ward is one of the most eclectic areas the city of St. Louis has to offer. On this edition of In Your Ward, we're going to visit the historical Grand Center Theater District. We're going to meet a developer who bought up and renovated a whole city block in the ward. We're going to introduce you to a neighborhood association leader and visit a new candy store that recently relocated to the city with 19th Ward Alderwoman Marlene Davis. Alderwoman Davis, it's safe to say the 19th Ward covers a huge part of the city of St. Louis.
You're absolutely right. We cover quite a bit of the city.
You know, when you think of the 19th Ward, I think of Grand Center right there in the Midtown area because, I mean, that's got to be a jewel of your ward. You think about it, you get on Grand, it's all lit up, you've got the Fox Theater there. How excited are you about the Grand Center District?
Well, I'm thoroughly excited because it's an opportunity for us to showcase the talent in our city. And then we have all the live shows that come in from Broadway. That's exciting too. And with the jazz that comes in at Jazz at the Bistro, the Sheldon brings in a lot of things. And think about it, we sell almost 3 million tickets there annually.
That's amazing. And isn't there a new theater that's come on board recently?
We do. We have several new theaters. One is called Zack, and it's in the old Cadillac building on Locust. And it has a theater there. It has small theater companies that are in residence there. And we have one called the Marcel. It's on Samuel Shepherd Drive in Grand Center. And I'm excited about that. And we also have refurbished the Grandel Theater building right there at Grandel Square. So we have lots going on.
Covenant Blues right there as well. Is it more residential?
It is predominantly residential. Some new homes have been built there over the last 10 years, so it's a nice community. But we also have St. Alfonso Rock Church, St. James is there. And so it's a nice bedroom community there. SSM Hospital is going to be built. That'll be a new $550 million restaurant, hospital, everything. Because in that complex, it will have more amenities for the patients as well as the employees. And so we're excited about that.
And you've got the Jeff Vanderloo neighborhood.
And Jeff Vanderloo has grown. We have the community college there. So that's exciting, right across the street from Vashon High School. We also have lots of Habitat homes there. So when you drive through there, it looks like a little suburbia.
And you got a teeny weeny bit of Compton Heights.
Yes. And so some of the older, more historic buildings on Allen and Geyer in Compton Heights, it's, you have a lot of history there.
Now, St. Louis University is one of the most prominent universities, not only in the area, but in the United States of America, probably in the world. You have students coming from around the world to that area. Let's discuss St. Louis University for a bit.
Well, St. Louis University was really, I think, the engine that really made it happen in Midtown. Once they started reinvesting in the area, everything else followed it. So now we look at a campus that has expanded all the way across Shoto, and with the partnership with the new hospital, the fact that we not only have new campus there, we have the residential dorms that are phenomenal, that are new. So we'll have 2 new dorms there. And we also have some other apartment complexes that are geared towards students as well that have been put up in the area. So I'm looking at a growth pattern there that you would have never dreamed of before. Yeah.
Let's talk about some public schools. Vashon is one of the most historic public high schools west of the Mississippi River. It's still there, it's flourishing. You have a new building, a few years back. Let's talk a little bit about Vashon and how it's doing right now.
Vashon is doing well, and it's one of my, I birthed it. I was on the school board and president of the school board when it was erected. I'm very excited about that campus, a $40 million campus there in Jeff Vanderloo. And when we look at the opportunities there for the students, they're also doing what we call the Bridge program with UMSL and the community college. So we may have a high school student graduate and already have 15 or 20 credit hours towards college.
Nice. You've also got Clyde Miller Academy over there. You've got some other schools, Carver. Would you like to maybe mention some of the schools in your
looking at the education component of my ward, not only do I have great Montessori schools, but I also have, and you have to talk about City Garden, and that's all the way over in Botanical Heights, but I'm going to come back to the Vashon area. And so when we look at that area and you look at the opportunities there for young people. Clyde C. Miller is a technical high school, and so they offer a lot of career paths there. And then we look at the Grand Arts Academy, and so the emphasis is on the arts, and the students have so many companies that support that school, and they're getting a lot by being in Grand Center, so they can work with the symphony, they can work with the Fox Productions. It's just a number of things that the youth have opportunities. Our industries now are not necessarily looking for just college graduates. They're looking for young people who have learned the trade early, and most especially when you're looking at IT. They can go in and be trained in 2-3 months on the job and make a good living, a good starting salary. And so that has, that growth pattern is there, changing the way we do things in the corporate industry. I'm hoping that more young people look at that.
You're a member of many committees in the city of St. Louis, and you are the chair of Transportation and Commerce, and that's a big one. And it entails so many things. It entails the airport, trucking, ports, Metrolink, Metrobus. It's vital to St. Louis because so many people use it. Any talks of expansion or improving safety on the Metrolink, and maybe adding a few routes?
Well, one of the things we're talking about now is definitely the north-south expansion. And so we're looking at that very closely. We've been exploring that almost 2 years now in a serious way. And I think that at some point a decision will be made about where we'll go with that project. The safety part of it is truly a concern. And then just a couple of days ago, St. Clair County agreed to provide some safety as well. So that pretty much completes it. St. Louis County is already helping St. Louis City, and now we've got the other end of St. Clair County. So we should see it being much more safe.
Now, you're also on the Convention and Tourism Committee, and we were speaking a little bit earlier about the Dome. A lot of people thought when the Rams left town, they were going to tear it down or do something else with it. But when I was talking to people over the CVC, and they were saying that if the Rams were not here, that we would have more events at the Dome because they blocked off so many weeks of the year, a year and a half, 2 years in advance.
Well, of course, that Dome is a great asset to the city. And now it has more value because we have it available to us. And I think that one of the things we need to look at when you talk about economic development is how can that asset have more value to you? And it needs some renovation, that must happen. But then we can look at how we can attract larger conventions, how we can attract larger concerts. So we want the 40, 50,000 person concerts. That's a lot of money that would come to the coffers. And that's how you build your base for the future, is to plan for it, invest for it, and then see the money grow. And it's really important to look at the future. You can't stay where you are and believe that the city is going to improve. The quality of life for every resident here should have the opportunity to be improved, and that's by economic development and growth.
And you've got some new developments in your ward as well. You've got new hotels coming up and other things people can enjoy.
Well, we do, and we're blessed. That area of the city is definitely growing. People want to invest in that part of the city. I have so many new restaurants. I don't want to start naming them because I'll leave somebody out, but I'm going to name a couple. Now we have Southern, that's next door to Pappy's, and everybody enjoys Pappy's. We have a new bakery, Baby Cakes on Olive. And then when you look at ethnic food, so I have Lucha's Mexican food right there at Grand across the street from the Fox. I have a Korean restaurant at Olive and Cardinal. And then I have Japanese food, Baku, in the Hotel Ignatia. So we got lots of great things going on.
Yeah, one of my favorite places is the Field House.
Oh,
I love that place. I think Dave and Mary Jane Corwin do a nice job with that place. It's just one of many. We were speaking earlier about Circus Flora. They always made a trip to St. Louis every year, and people were so excited about it. Well, they now have a lot more to be excited about, don't they?
They have a lot more to be excited about because it's going to be a permanent site, and it's right there in Grand Center on Washington. So when you think about the circus top, the big top, that's what we call it, it will be there year-round. So they will be here now and perform more than just 1 month. I think we're looking at more like 3 months a year. And then that space will become an event space. And we
People
can
can rent it out, or?
we'll rent it out for concerts, any kind of series of entertainment that people are interested in. I think it's wonderful.
Anything else that you want to bring up or touch on right now before we take a trip through your ward?
Well, one of the things I wanted to say is that having this great opportunity to serve this ward and the residents there and the businesses is that I can feel fulfilled because you are a servant. None of this belongs to you, but you must treat it as though it's a part of your family and it's a part of your legacy. And so you want to do it right. And I'm excited about being in that position.
Now, you've been doing this now, an alderwoman in the city of St. Louis for what, about 11 years now?
I'm serving my 11th year now.
So you're 11 years now, huh?
Yes.
So let's take a step back from the time when you started as an alderman till now. What have you learned about the process of being in politics in the city of St. Louis and in government? And what changes and positive things have you seen throughout the years?
Well, one of the things I learned is it's very important to be present. Now, when you're present, you should be prepared. And so I'm making my business to do my homework so that when I'm in discussions, I can listen without being too fast to think. So a lot of people are thinking and they're not listening. And so I can listen because I'm prepared. And negotiation is critical. You can't just have something one way. We must learn how to negotiate and get the best for the city. And if we can learn how to continue to do that and maybe even do it better than we've been doing it, it will be a big plus for this city.
Fantastic. Well, you know what? Let's take a journey now through the 19th Ward in the city of St. Louis. Alderwoman Marlene Davis, the journey starts right here in your ward. This is the epicenter, not only of the 19th Ward in St. Louis, but the city of St. Louis. I mean, this is Grand Center. You've got the Fox Theater, Best Steakhouse, you've got all these theaters and the university all right here.
It is right here. And when I think about it, it's even part of the epicenter of the region because people come from town and country, Wentzville, for entertainment right here in Grand Center. With the Fox Theater, we have Curtain Call Restaurant, all the many venues we have that are providing the creative arts on every level. And then we look to the south and we have St. Louis University. It is exciting to have all of this.
Well, right here across the street from the Fox Theater, there's a nice little courtyard behind us here and some great restaurants. You've got some staples like Jazz at the Bistros and some new venues as well.
This is called Strauss Park right here. And so we have live events out here. As you can see, it's very comfortable. We got rocking chairs. You can sit out here and just relax. So we have Lucha's, that's a new Mexican restaurant here. We had a philanthropic corporation with the Stewart Foundation that renovated that opportunity here. We also have KDHX. They have their headquarters here. They have a nice restaurant on the first floor. And it goes on and on. If you look down this block as far as you can see, you'll see Metro Theater, that's new. We have a folk guitar organization that actually teaches people how to play. We have everything you need right here. And it's just great to see people coming to all the new venues here.
Thanks a lot for joining us here on In Your Ward. We're highlighting the 19th Ward, and we're right here at the in the center right here on this beautiful corner lot right here at Olive Street and Grand Center and Grand Avenue. Tell us about your business and how excited you are to be right here in this beautiful spot.
Well, first of all, we're very excited to be here. We are a sweet shop, and our thing is chocolates, old school candies that's hard to find. And we've kind of added some things like coffee, teas, and pastries, something that we didn't do before. This is a great spot where we can actually hold events, birthday parties, people can meet here. We have the space for private meetings and stuff like that too.
A lot of boutique chocolates and things. I mean, I'm looking right here at the space.
Sure.
And you've got some really good looking chocolate here.
Yes.
Are these homemade?
Most of the chocolate in here is homemade. My wife is actually the chocolatier of the family. She does a lot of specialty chocolates. This is a great space for different type of venues, and one of the things we want people to know that the Grand Center is a lot of things that's starting to happen with the Grand Center, and we want to have the space to invite people down, not just to see what we're doing here at Miss Sims Candy, but to see what else is going on here in the Grand Center.
Tell us about where you were before and what made you want to come down here to the city.
We were in the Del Mar Loop for 6.5 years in a small, tiny space, about 500 square feet, and I actually met Miss Davis in the Del Mar Loop, and she was talking about how grand the Grand Center is, and that we would be a perfect fit for over here. So we came over to take a look, and sure enough, it was a great fit for us. We wanted to showcase more than what we were doing in the Del Mar Loop. We wanted to have a venue space where people can come in and socialize and meet and network and things of that nature. So Marlene created the opportunity for us here at the Grand Center. Of course, you can see how big the space is. It's big enough for us to do those type of things.
Yeah, and how does it make you feel when you have an alderwoman that's so active in the community and you see them out and about and they actually stop by your business and ask you how things are going? How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel great, and she's very involved, and she spends a lot of time here herself meeting, different clients and customers, and it's all about her ward, all about the Grand Center for her, yeah. We've been around almost 8 years now, and we want to be around for a long time to come. So we have a lot to offer. It is we're a sweet shop that is offering more than just candy, but we want to kind of just be in a spot to bring the community together as well.
After visiting Miss Sims Candy Store, Alderwoman Davis and I cruised over to Olive Street to meet Robert Farrel, the president of GI Construction on Locust Street. Robert has helped transform a neglected and blighted area of the city into a new and exciting spot for local businesses. And joining us now and in your ward, the 19th ward, is from Guarantee Interiors, Mr. Bob Farrel. And Bob's one of the top entrepreneurs here in the 19th ward. And Alderwoman Marlene Davis, he's done quite a number on this little stretch between Olive and Locust, in this little corridor here. We saw some before and after pictures, and right now this place is really looking good.
Well, one of the things you have to admire is that Robert had a vision, and he took on a large challenge to make sure this is basically a city block, to make sure that it was rehab, you got good tenants that are moving in, and he's a caretaker too. That's what I like about him.
I started out I was across the street, or across the alley over on Locust, and this part of the block was just, which I've showed you guys pictures earlier, this was a mess. I mean, it was ready to be torn down. And I met with Marlene. I had the opportunity to pick up some of the pieces. I got the little building down on the end is Avis, but I'll take you from the beginning of the block. Up on the corner is 2901, and that's American Veterans Center, and it's a really nice building. They've been there for almost 10 years now. And then the next building over, there's parking lot, and then there's another building that WellSpent actually uses for storage of their beer barrels and whatever. To the next one, we've got a real nice little patio for our WellSpent, and then we're inside the brewery here, so that's pretty nice. He makes the beer in the back, has this. He has the building next door, which above that building, which is 2919, is a real nice barber shop, all women, 6 barbers in there. It's my whole company goes there, so it's pretty nice. And then there's another building next to it that's really unique. It's got a building in a building, and I have a tenant looking at it, a possible architect maybe taking it. And then Avis is next to that, which I also own. And then they have a large parking lot next to them. And then the very end of the block is the Locust Group, has a parking space that they lease out. So that rounds up the whole block.
Now you have the corridor now back at Locust. It kind of runs parallel. There's a couple of businesses back there I know you're proud of as well.
Locust, the first 2 parking lots are mine. And then I have a large building is where it all started, actually. People laughed at me when I bought that building also because it was pretty bad. And then there's the Union Hall for the roofers is next to me. And then next to them, I have another building that I lease to my children who have their own company, Guarantee Construction.
So he's been a part of this renaissance that's been taking place since about 1995. And most especially after 1998, when we really got involved over here. He was a pioneer even before that. But he also helped some of the other guys who came in, like Barry Adelstein, when he bought all those buildings and came in and brought in different social service agencies and all kinds of businesses. And so he's the go-to guy. You know, I'll tell people, go talk to Robert, because he knows what to do. And he's willing to invest his own funds. So he's not running up to me every day talking about tax abatement or anything. I think the most I've ever done is what, a 50-50 on the street? That's it.
On the sidewalk.
A sidewalk,
Yeah.
that's it.
That's it.
It can't get any better than that to have an investor like that.
You know, Mr. Farrell, what are some of the things that, you know, in addition to that, because she's being humble, that Alderwoman Davis has done to maybe inspire you to do this?
Well, Marlene's always there. I don't care what it is. And she's always got input. She knows the neighborhood, she knows the community, and she knows what the other people like and what they want. So it's very easy to talk to her.
Mr. Farrell, is there anything else you would like to add?
We're bringing people into the community. It becomes safer when there's more people on the streets and when people are living here.
Absolutely.
And actively moving around the neighborhood, you know, and good people. I mean, this is a high-end, nice community of people. It's great.
You know, the great thing about it, and when he said high end, that just reminded me that we have such a great blend. So if you go north one block, you have extremely affordable housing, but you also, when you stay in this immediate area, it's high end. So, you know, you've got your $1,200 one-bedroom rentals. And we have developers who understand how to do both. And so when you look at what Jason Johnson has brought in.
He started a lot of this,
He started a lot of it.
Yeah.
And then you look at what Steve Smith has done at Triumph Restaurant and the hotel there. So we have such a great blend in just a few blocks walking distance that really makes a difference for a community.
And even Barry had so many places
I
down
mentioned
here.
Barry earlier. I mean,
You know, there's just 4 or 5 good people that have helped put all of it as a group.
This was an old theater, and you've kept some relics of it.
Yeah, we were able to keep some of the front signature of the theater.
Yeah.
And the actual brick is a glazed brick. It was a Bonanza Theater. Front was a glazed brick, which you can see on the inside from where we are. But the upper part was all decayed, and we tore that out and used that to fix the brick on the sides and put a new brick across the front. And you can't tell it wasn't original the way they've done it. Some of that uniqueness that you mentioned is part of what I like about being in construction. You get to keep some, and we kept the wrought iron on the patio from an old building that used to be on that space. So yeah, I agree, it's kind of neat.
Longtime St. Louis resident Jon-Pierre Mitchom is now the president of the Tiffany Neighborhood Association. Tell us a little bit about your neighborhood here and some of the great improvements that have happened recently.
Sure. Here in Tiffany, as you mentioned, we are a community where we try to do everything we can to make sure there is life and energy flowing in our neighborhood. With the board that we have here at Tiffany Community Association here in Tiffany, we have several events a year. We have a tutoring program that we have for students. We have a summer program for students. We have back-to-school kickoffs, Halloween events, things like that. All of these are designed to create a cohesive community. We always talk about how we don't want to just be people who happen to live next to each other. We want to truly be a community, close-knit. So everything we do is geared towards that here in Tiffany. We are a diamond in the rough, if you will, here in St. Louis. We talk about, when we look at some of the research that's gone forth, we are what we would consider a health promoting community. We have hospitals nearby, we have banks, we are close to everything. And so that really serves our neighbors here well as it relates to accessing everything that they need.
well, right across the street we have Habitat Homes. The architecture fits right in with the homes here in Tiffany. We have great neighbors there. We have 2 Asian families that live over there. Jon-Pierre has an Asian neighbor right around the corner on Lafayette. We have Hispanic and Russian families that live around there. So this is a very diverse community, and it's exciting.
I did grow up here, probably from second grade until I graduated from high school. The community has always been pretty diverse. Even when I was a kid in elementary school, even then my neighbor was an Asian family, and always been what you see now, well-manicured lawns, people who are involved in the community from a standpoint of making sure the children receive what they need. And so the same is the case today. I think that now, with the addition of partnerships with Habitat for Humanity, we're able to continue that focus that we've had all along. Having that partnership, I believe, adds richness to our community, and it adds value. As Alderwoman Davis said, the homes themselves are well above industry standards. They're essentially green homes. And so we're excited about the projects that are happening in Tiffany and the partnership that we have with Habitat. When my wife and I were looking for homes, she's also has lived in the city all of her life, and there's just a different energy when you're in the city. And you know, when we were looking and we found the house on the very street that I grew up on, with all the amenities close to everything, again, health promoting. When you have small children, we have 3 small boys, it's very advantageous to be right next to Cardinal Glennon. And just the diversity. My wife went to school in DC, and she often mentions how the South Side reminds her of her time in DC.
Yeah.
So when you have that type of richness, why wouldn't you want to be a part of that?
You know, any final thoughts or things you want to mention about this beautiful little neighborhood here in the 19th Ward?
Well, I want to talk about the fact that it's sitting right here in the middle of a lot of economic development in housing as well as business. It's near St. Louis University and all the development that's going on there. We have the #1 charter school right here in Botanical Heights, just a few blocks away, City Garden School. You have some of the best public schools right across the street. We have Wyman School that's involved with healthcare, biotech, all of that. So you've got a little bit of everything, and I'm really excited about it. And again, when you talk about the community, the residents, they have monthly meetings, and they're well attended, and people know each other. So it makes my job easier as an alderperson, because they're caretakers, they're real caretakers. And all I have to do is just be there and just help along, because they've got the ideas, they got the energy, and they have the passion.
Jon-Pierre, any final thoughts about your neighborhood or some things that you'd like to see happen here?
Well, I would just say that since the last 5 years since I've been back in the community, I've been pleasantly pleased with the relationship we have with our public servants, elected officials, as well as our police officers. The partnership we have with them has been invaluable. They're always accessible, meeting the needs of the community. And I can say that the folks who live here, and I'm speaking on behalf of the board, we really do strive to make sure people feel as if they belong, they feel safe, and that is certainly the case here in Tiffany. I can't say enough about this amazing woman. Like I said, just anytime we need to reach out to her, she's always connecting us with resources, key collaborations to achieve the goals that we have here in Tiffany. So she is invaluable to our well-being here in Tiffany, and we love her for it.
What do you want Alderwoman Marlene Davis's legacy to be as an alderwoman and a public servant here in the city of St. Louis? What do you want people to say about you in 10, 15, 20 years from now?
She was willing to give, because I don't mind putting the extra time in, and I know it's required. I love connecting people, because I know I don't know everything, and there are a lot of people that you must know in order to accomplish goals.